way.
Now, this is lined with just an old tarp, which rabbits could totally scratch through in about 2 seconds. So the reason that this is bottomless is that what I'm hoping is that the cage here will sink instead of exposing the sides to let the rabbits in. Okay, so what do I have in here for them to eat? I have celery, comfrey, no, not comfrey. I have celery, chamomile, tatsoi, some kind of cabbage, and then these are Lucino. Those are Lucino kale. So she will be on this side, and then I come down here, I undo this, and then it lays down like that. So this whole thing can be opened from any side. When it's time to catch baby bunnies, every side can drop. Hey guys, I wanted to get a really short video of this hotbed that has rabbits in it. Sorry, she's just so loud. Okay, so I have water here. We put the hay on the top of the little magic squares, and what I do is I put the hay on top and then I just push it around like this so that bits of stick. You see how there's all the hay kind of poking down? So they can eat all this that's at the bottom. Hi, baby. But they can also reach up and eat this. I'll see if I can move really slow and turn it around so you can see them. These guys are wild. He just came up out of his burrow. These are untouched rabbits in a hotbed. And they've been here their whole lives. We did the rabbits... Oh, there's another one. We did the rabbits in here as an experiment to see if they'd be happier. And their mom was in here with our buck, our gray buck, and she got pregnant and had these two as part of a full litter, and these two were the only ones that survived. Hey guys, so Paige is butchering. We had a cage with 3 juvenile bucks in it, and so she is butchering those right now so that I have a cage free to move into the hotbed greenhouse, because I'm seeing I'm not going to be strong enough to get it filled. So I need to fill it my normal way, which is to put rabbits on top and let them fill it. And so we'll have to be probably starting our normal hotbed in the big tough greenhouse and wait for the hotbed greenhouse to fill up. There are tricks I can do with getting manure from the goats to fill up the hotbed faster and have it not be so heavy, but I don't have a huge amount of energy right now, and so that might not happen either. It might just, we might just have to start the hotbed in the big greenhouse, which has to be just fine. Okay, so you can see that under this rabbit, the bedding has built up. They don't have manure inside the cage, but it's approaching that point. Whereas next to this here, we have empty spaces that need to be filled with manure. And here we've got empty spaces that need to be filled with manure. So we need to move the cages around a little bit. Well, it's okay if it gets in snow. It's not dirt.
What do you need to do?
Ta-da! Easy peasy, so much lighter than trying to use mulch.
Yes. No.
Thank you, dear.
It's nice and comfortable in here.
It's nice, huh?
Yep.
Okay, so
Why do you point the camera in my face?
it's the only face I got right now. Okay, so the black mama could come in here now in this cage. I can get her food and water, I just can't carry her.
Which one is she in?
She is next to the brown mama. This is what we're looking at now. The lathe is not pretty. The lathe, I try to keep it long enough that it'll fit across every bed, but some of my beds are different widths than others. This one is quite a narrow bed with a very wide walk. Very, very wide walk. So we'll be able to fit 2, 3, probably 3 cages on this side and 3 cages on the other side. Mama rabbits eat a lot more hay and are a lot messier than dad rabbits. And babies are even messier than that. I'm going to have John see if he can pull some of that off, or maybe Paige. But once I have rabbits in here, I have got to keep the door open at all times. Otherwise, they will overheat during the day. Very pleasant in here.
Compared to the teenagers.
Yes. Well, they're like, what, 10 pounds, you think?
What, them or her?
Her.
Probably 15.
15 pounds, yeah. That's why we eat so well when we butcher the adults. There you go, Mama. Oh, clean space. Thank you, dear. That was very helpful. All right, so I'm going to get her food and water. What, honey?
I'm going to leave it to you to get.
So this is where I'm taking the lathe from. These are their summer platforms. They're underneath the crabapple so that they stay nice and cool and lots of air circulation. So I'm just removing these lathe to put into the hotbed for now. These are just T-posts. Okay, so baby rabbits fill things up with poop and old bedding much faster than any other rabbits. They're voracious and they have lots and lots of poop. So this is the end where the baby rabbits were. I have 2 more girls here that are filling it up pretty good, but there's only 2 of them in there, so they're not filling it up as well. Here's a mama that has filled up the bottom of hers pretty well. So I would like to move her too, but I need another clear cage. So this one needs to be, see how she had actually filled it up so much that we've got a little bit of hay debris. And then here she actually had a corner where there was some poop building up, which is not what we want. No poop is what we want. So you can see the bow in the hotbed a little bit here. It has been in use for 2 years now. And it's still holding pretty good. The lathe on the top kind of helps hold it in together as well. So these are 2 does that I have left. I really don't like these homemade cages. These cages are, I made these in 2013. So these are 10 years old. And they're really showing their age. These are my nice cages that I got from Hare. So if you want really good cages, these are my favorite. The tall Hare cages are my absolute favorite. So I'd like to get her cage out and put it in the hotbed too, but I need more lathe in there first. So any spot that the rabbits haven't been able to fill at this point, I just need to fill it up with goat manure and bedding, and then I'll be able to start the hotbed in here. And we'll just use the rabbits to fill up the hotbed greenhouse on the other side. It's not as warm in this greenhouse as it is in the other greenhouse because the rabbits haven't had time to build up any compost. Their hay and their manure goes down to the bottom on top of cardboard and stuff. But they've only been in here for a week. And so there's no compost in here to warm things up. Whereas the other hotbed in the big tough greenhouse is keeping the greenhouse warm. Warmer than just a greenhouse could in this kind of weather. So for those of you who think that by having a greenhouse you can, plant a garden in February, that's not the case. So especially in a state like Idaho, we're zone 3-4. Having a greenhouse does not mean you can plant your garden early unless you have an external source of heat. If you don't have a propane heater or an electric heater or a hotbed, there's no way you're going to be able to start a garden in January and February. The reason for that is it may get warmed up during the day, like it's probably in the 30s in there instead of 18 degrees Fahrenheit, but that's not warm enough to keep little baby plants alive. And the hotbed has constant blood temperature, like 97 degrees blood temperature to me, maybe even a little warmer, all the time, day and night. And so when the temperatures outside drop down to negative 25, negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit, it doesn't really matter, because the hotbed that the seeds are in are covered with a frost cloth, and they stay warm until the next time we have more sunshine and warmer weather. It's a nursery bed. It's the ideal, perfect growing habitat for new seedlings. All right, so I'm going to show you why it is that I decided that I'm going to start this one as my early bed. You see how full it is. The rabbits have been in here since November, and you can also tell there was a cage here, and there were cages all along that side. There were not cages on this side, so you can see just how much. There was a cage there, there was a cage here, there was a cage there. And you can see how much manure there is, and also refuse from hay, lots of stuff. And then you have this big old pocket here, and a feed scoop. Big old pocket here, pocket here, pocket here, pocket here, and then a little bit more here. That's a butt cage, and this is a butt cage. Babies and moms poop and waste a whole lot more than the bucks do. The bucks are quite efficient with feed, and so you just don't get as much of it filling in. So all these holes I need to fill in with manure and straw from the goats, and I will top it off there too. I'm really going to mound it. I'm going to mound it like 18 inches above the bed, and then we'll water it, and then it'll heat up. Hey guys, I am here in front of the wood stove. We have some really cold weather here. The next week is down in the single digits at night, and then trying to stay in the 20s during the day. The highs are in the 20s. So super cold, but I'm going to try and get out there and get the hotbed in the tough greenhouse filled. Like I said, we moved all the rabbits into the big hotbed greenhouse to get things charged, because I don't have it in me to haul the wood mulch as far as it needs to be hauled, and it would just be so much work, and there's not really a reason to do that since I have the hotbed charged in the greenhouse. I'm just going to see, this is the big experiment this time, if I really heap up the goat manure on the top, can I get an old bed to recharge as hot as a new hotbed? So I'm going to do that. I won't have my camera out for a bit because it'll freeze in this weather. But thanks for coming along. Those of you who are on my Patreon, thank you so much. You paid for my potting soil this year. And I know I have a little bit of money every month that can go towards stuff like that. So thank you so much for your support. It's $3 a month if you want to take part in that. But I also have a $30 a month option where I will give you a consultation over the phone once a month. So there's that. And then there's also the hotbed plans on my Etsy store. They're, I think, $7.99. Try to keep them cheap because I'm still working on the design of the hotbed, but I do think that it's worth people knowing about them and being able to put them together themselves while I'm still working on perfecting it. So, and I'd love to see pictures of what you guys have made. So, talk to you later once we're out in the frozen tundra. Okay, so now I just pick up all the extras and put them outside for the next time that I need to put rabbits on a hotbed. They are interchangeable between all my beds, and I can finish getting this filled up. Hey guys, I wanted to try and show you the steam rising off of this wood mulch. It is from live trees, so it's wet green wood, and it heats up on its own. If this was kiln dried sawdust, it would be dry. There wouldn't be anything to drive bacteria, and it wouldn't break down. It would just kind of be neutral in stasis. Whereas live green mulch has moisture in it and sugars in it that are driving bacterial activity. Fungal activity is trying to break down into soil. And so if I wanted to fill my hotbeds with this, it would heat itself up and I wouldn't have to add any manure. I'm still going to add manure because I like to add manure. I want it to break down nicely into usable dirt. But just so you know, this is what we're working with. And it's one of the reasons I feel the push to get the hotbeds done even more than usual, is because seeing all this heat escaping is driving me just a little bit crazy. Okay, this is what the mulch looks like. This is how we have filled it in so far. I need to mound it up, and then I need to put goat manure or rabbit manure, whichever one is thawed enough that I can do it. We've been -9, +1 Fahrenheit at night, and so it's the manure that hasn't been peed on for a while has frozen. So there we go. This is what it looks like. You can see there's not a whole bunch to fill in. The rabbits did a very good job, and the chickens have been up here helping too. But as soon as I have this topped off, I'm going to mound it really good with that manure. I'm not strong enough to lift the whole thing because the mulch is very wet, so I am using a pitchfork just to pitch it in. All right, so you can see the little bit that I've been able to dig up. It's frozen. If the animals don't stay active on the manure, it doesn't stay warm if they're not peeing and pooping on it, unless you get in and mix it. If you came in with a tractor and took a scoop out and remixed the layers, it would warm up again, which is what I'm doing by putting it in the hotbed. But it's a bit of a slog to get this frozen manure out. I don't know if I'll have it done today, but we'll see. Okay guys, today is one of the days. You know the saying, today's the day? Well, every day is the day. So today is one of the days. I am taking my big tough container out to the greenhouse to be used for rabbit manure tea, so that once I have the bed heaped up in the tough greenhouse with goat manure, I can just start watering it and get it heating up. Alright, at this point what I need to do is water it in, get some of that manure into the substrate underneath, and generally I have to water for 2 days before it heats up. And then after that, after it initially heats up, I pack more sawdust on and I keep watering with rabbit manure tea. That bin in the corner, I put water in that and about a gallon of rabbit manure and let it soak, and that's what I water with. Alright, it smells a little bit like ammonia in here. That's what the bed looks like. You can see it's heaped up a little bit. This will sink. I'm going to go get the hose and water it, and I'm going to fill up this tub and put rabbit manure in it because I need to water a couple times a day until it heats up. Okay, this is what it looks like. It's going to soak for a long time, and then I'll pull the hay out. Just won't be a big deal. The bacteria in the hay won't hurt anything because it's the bacteria in the rabbit manure that matters. Okay, now I'm going to water the bed. I'm filling the container in the corner right now. Just one thing to remember is once you have started adding this manure and it's hot and then you start watering it, you can't have animals in the greenhouse anymore. And you need to make sure not to work in the greenhouse with the door shut until the heat has come up to 165 and finished cooking and then settled. You need to wait until it stops steaming really hard. Otherwise you'll gas yourself out. And if you leave animals in here, it will kill them if the door is shut. It's only like that for a few days, but it's real. All right, so the last 2 days I used a hose to get water on it. Now I'm going to use the rabbit manure tea. It's been sitting long enough. I don't know if you can see how brown that is. It's really brown. And that's just from sitting for 2 days.